The new work week has begun as we barrel toward the Memorial Day holiday weekend, and we have the outlook, and we'll let you know if these smoky skies are ever going to disappear. We'll have all of that and more. I think there's even a typhoon out there that we could take a look at. All of that tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show, which of course is brought to you by our friends at Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York. So if you are a professional landscaper, or maybe you're not a professional, you're a homeowner, and well, either way, get your truck over to Omni and load up on topsoil, mulch, sand, salt, whatever you need. They've got it. 631-756-1125. Because nowhere can you find better prices. And the website is
OmniTrueValue.com.
And also brought to you by our affiliate Tempest by WeatherFlow. Get the revolutionary Tempest weather system and join the fastest growing observing weather network on this planet. Well, for that matter, any other planet. If you do, we can tell you that the referral code is on the descriptor to this video, and it's also about to be pinned to the top of the chat board. And if you, of course, make a purchase either of this or any of the other weather-related merchandise that they have, use the coupon code Joe and Joe Weather Show because
you'll get 10% off.
Yes.
Purchase your WeatherFlow Tempest weather station and or any other merchandise using the coupon code Joe and Joe Weather Show. And yes, you heard right. You'll get a big 10% off. So get out there and do your stuff.
And that's getting 10% off, Joe, is even better than getting a gift certificate from the famous Spiegel Catalog Company, Spiegel, Chicago, Illinois.
60609.
60609. Oh, good evening.
Or the Michael C. Fina Company.
Yeah, you're stuck on the Michael C. Fina Company. You want a silver set?
No, but whenever I played the home version of Concentration, I always seemed to get the Michael C. Fina card.
Oh, God. Oh.
Not a match. The board goes back. Bloop.
Right. I forgot the sounds on that show.
It sounded kind of like gadonk, gonk.
Right.
Gadonk, gonk.
Well, what happened if you got the match? What was the sound?
I don't know. It sounded like the same thing. Gadonk. And the best part was when somebody guessed correctly and there was still a lot of the numbers up on the board, and they had all of them go at the same time. Gadonk. But that doesn't happen anymore because on the later versions, which by the way was hosted by Alex Trebek,
Yes.
classic concentrate, and it wasn't classic. There were 30 numbers with the U Downs version, and when Alex Trebek took over, they knocked out 5 numbers, and it was only 25, and instead it had like a anyway.
Yes. My favorite was when somebody got take one gift. And they would get to take it from the other person.
Right. All right, what are you going to take? She's got the car, she's got the diamond necklace,
right,
and she's got the refrigerator freezer. Well, I think I'll take the refrigerator freezer. I already have a small car, a Malibu.
Yes, exactly. All right, so we are. We are.
And guess what? We're always talking about the Canadian forest or wildfires.
Yes.
I should point out that today is a holiday in Canada. It is Victoria Day.
Oh, bless, Queen Victoria. We are not amused.
Yes.
Oh, yes, indeed. Well, anyway, we are moving right along to the Memorial Day weekend, and it was really nice today, by the way, to see when I was looking at the models for the weekend that they all kind of lined up pretty well.
I don't know about that. I mean, yesterday, I looked at the models yesterday, and like the GFS and the European sending full scale, sending a major, maybe not a major, but a very wet looking low pressure system right up the coast and pretty much ruining
Right.
the good chunk of the weekend. And now they're kind of like, well, no.
They lost them both overnight, and then they held firm today. You want to look? I think the we could probably say with a fairly high degree of confidence that Saturday looks fine.
You really want to say that, Joe?
It's Monday. We got to say something.
Okay.
All right. I'm thinking Saturday looks fine, as long as that high suppresses the way it looks like it wants to suppress. You
Right.
know, there's enough of a upper high in between the upper low that's going to be down in the Tennessee Valley and the northwest flow that the northeast is right on the edge on, that I would think Saturday should be okay.
Well, if you want to believe the 18Z, the intermediate
There's nothing on the
bottom.
18Z. I just looked at it.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if you want to look at the
The
18Z,
12Z had nothing.
we have nothing for Sunday either.
Nothing for Saturday, nothing for Sunday, and nothing for Monday. I mean,
Right.
the only thing, I mean, if this plays out according to the way it looks, um, the only issue on Monday might be that the low just completely dies out. I mean, it develops a surface low that it brings in near on the South Carolina North Carolina state line. By the time we get to Saturday afternoon, and then it just sort of loses it. It's gone. There's nothing. All the rain just falls apart. So it does try to bring something up. Some precip close on Tuesday now from some other low that forms down there. But I'm thinking I'm cautiously optimistic that 2 out of the 3 days should be okay. Maybe Monday there's some cloud issues, but certainly not going to see any rain on Saturday. I really don't. I really don't think there's a problem Saturday. And honestly, if if you told me right now make a forecast for Sunday, I'd have to go dry.
Yeah, well, that's still 6 days away,
You're
and
living in fear, Joe.
I'm just shell shocked from previous Memorial Day forecasts, and in particular, a forecast I did in 1979 for 4th of July, where I guaranteed everybody it would be a gorgeous 4th of July, and it turned out to be anything but. So when it comes to these big summer holidays, I'm always very, very edgy or iffy about making any promises more than 3 or 4 days in advance. So
People
yeah,
do get
it's
people
good now.
people
It didn't
do
look so
tend to
great
get
yesterday.
people do tend to get very touchy
Yes,
about holiday weekends.
yes.
And I didn't even look at the Canadian. I could take a look at the Canadian. I mean, even the Canadian. Let's see. Yeah. I mean, the Canadian's got absolutely nothing. Nothing. Not a flake. Not an ice pellet. Nothing. Until
Yeah.
until Tuesday when some stuff backs in from off the ocean. So, okay. Well, that's kind of where we're riding with this at the moment.
Right. I mean, it depends upon whose opinion you believe. I know that on ABC 7, Lee Goldberg was expressing, again, guarded optimism for the upcoming weekend. On the other hand, on Fox 5, Nick Gregory, who has been around for a very long time, and you need to respect whatever he thinks that Memorial Day Monday may not be the best, but we'll
but he still did he give his blessing for Saturday and Sunday?
Yeah, pretty much. He said it's not going to be all that bad a weekend. Just maybe a little problem might suddenly come in on Monday. So we'll see.
All right. Okay, I'm not going to argue with you. Meanwhile, I got the GOES was down this morning for a while. It finally came back up.
Well, wait a minute. Tom Contino has now corrected me. He says, no, Nick Gregory has shower chances for Sunday. All right. Sunday, Monday. What I'm trying to get across here is that Nick Gregory was indicating that the whole weekend may not be as optimistically good as other forecasters have been saying. But again, it's all subjective. And at this point in time, 5 and 6 and 7 days out, I'm a little leery about making any promises about what may or may not transpire
Well,
for the upcoming holiday
I
weekend.
listen. It is Monday. I will grant you, but I still think Saturday's okay. So I will. I'll give Saturday. I think is okay, and I think Sunday's going to be okay. We'll see about Monday. But look at this satellite. There's smoke everywhere. Not only smoke everywhere, Joe, but a couple of isolated showers and thunderstorms popped up in the Catskills and in the middle Hudson Valley. You barely could
Also in
see them
Connecticut.
on the radar. Yeah, and also in Connecticut.
Yeah.
But and that was something that you mentioned yesterday with what SPC has. But I mean, this smoke is just endless.
Yeah. It's crazy. It really is. And I'm not even aware of what Canada is doing to try to control these wildfires in Alberta mainly, and whether or not they are ever going to control this. It's. I mean, I was having dinner and looking through the trees, and there was the sun appearing like a big red ball again, shining through all of this smoke. And one has to wonder: will we ever see a nice stretch of clear, transparent blue skies? It doesn't seem like that's going to be happening in the foreseeable future.
Well, I can tell you that we had a decent day here in North Georgia. We had some sunshine, and we have had also some clouds from blow off from thunderstorms that are going on in the Florida Panhandle and in the southern part of the state. You can see it on the full U.S. loop that I have up, and some of those high clouds actually streaming into southern Virginia. Not a whole lot happening. There's a number of thunderstorms this evening in the interior of Florida, and you see the lightning flashes going on there. Also, northwestward into the Panhandle, and then on up into parts of Alabama. Then there's sort of this big gap until you get to West Texas, where we've got some thunderstorms blowing up there. I think we have a severe thunderstorm watch that's working out at that in there, and also north and northwest of there up into Arizona, Utah, Nevada, and parts of Wyoming, seeing clouds there and some buildups with a few showers. But as far as anything widespread, it's one thing from looking at everything going on this week and going into this weekend. I don't see any widespread cataclysmic severe weather events that are going to happen.
No, it doesn't look like we're going to be looking at. Yeah.
No, we don't have any large scale systems that are going to set anything off, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think so either. If there's anything good over the coming next several days, it's just that we don't have any kind of widespread severe weather. Which, ironically, I mean, we've seen so much of that in the months that you don't normally expect to see that. Here we are now in late May, coming up on June, and this is usually prime time for severe weather or tornado weather, especially in the so-called tornado belt in the nation's midsection. And yet, aside from, maybe some scattered convection, it doesn't seem like we're looking at very much of anything.
No.
In 20 days ahead.
And east of the Bahamas, we had that feature that was there yesterday. Now, part of that broke off and raced away to the northeast. And actually, if you look south and east of Nova Scotia, you can sort of see it there as it goes by. But if you also look east of the Bahamas, you still have, there's some kind of upper low there that's just spinning away. And there's actually, I think, a surface low that's being analyzed there as well. But, you're talking about strong winds in the upper atmosphere here. So the Hurricane Center, they did actually have something there today. Let's see if they still do. I think they still do. Nope, they got rid of it. Okay, they got rid of it. Tropical cyclone activity not expected next 48 hours, and nothing.
How much can you push
in the next 7 days?
They only had a 10% possibility or probability of that developing to any degree.
I saw 3 articles written about it. 3 articles. I'm not even going to say, where their who the sources were of those articles, but 3 of them. The Hurricane Center is watching disturbed weather east of the Bahamas.
Yes.
In the middle of May. um, where the
alluding
probability.
to the fact, alluding to the fact that this might be yet another month of May where we'll have a tropical cyclone develop. And
How much? How much do you want to put down over the fact that after having, what was it, 6 out of 7 or 8 out of 9, whatever it was, after going what, like 30 years without seeing much of anything in the month of May, that that was whatever cycle that was, and that we don't see one in the month of May for a while.
well, we'll see.
We may
We'll
not
see.
be around. We may not be around anymore with a show when the next May tropical cyclone shows up.
Speak for yourself, Joe.
No. Anyhow, across the country, there's not really a whole lot with respect to watches and warnings. We've got some flash flood watches up in the Florida Panhandle and Southwest Georgia. We've got some frost advisories up for northeastern New York and for northernmost Vermont, New Hampshire, and a good chunk of the state of Maine. We have air quality issues in southern Minnesota, also in the I think though that's in the mountains of Colorado. That's probably smoke too. Let me just double check and make sure. Yes, air quality alerts there. We have severe thunderstorm watches that are posted for a bunch of counties in northwest Texas and in south extreme western Oklahoma. And some warnings are going on there as well. Flash flood watches up for parts of Nevada around Reno and on the California side as well. But again, not many there. Otherwise, it's a pretty much a snooze fest across the U.S. And why wouldn't it be? Looking at the surface map right now, they actually did analyze a stationary frontal boundary across New Jersey into north, and then sort of east-west across Pennsylvania back through Ohio and Indiana. So I guess it was from that and maybe a little bit of an upper feature that went by that triggered off just a couple of isolated cells this evening.
Yeah, what were we talking about? You mentioned that we were talking about that yesterday, and in fact, SPC actually had not too far from here general thunderstorm possibility over mainly central New York. And it was a pretty good forecast because while we didn't see any activity locally here in Putnam Valley, I did mention that north and west of here, and also east of here over portions of western and central Connecticut, there were some scattered showers during the course of this afternoon. So, yeah, it was a good outlook, indicating that there was a possibility of getting a little wet this afternoon. And indeed, for some, they did.
Yeah. Now there's not much happening now. Just look at the current radar. There's 3 blips that are left, 4 blips that are left, and that's it. And you have to go all the way down south. And here's what's going on in southern Georgia, northeastern Florida, and also down the peninsula into southern Florida, especially inland. You've got some showers and boom booms going on, and also in and around Alabama. Also in and east of Atlanta along I-85, looks like a few heavy downpours there. Here's what's happening in West Texas, where we've got let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, coming and going, and some bad frames in there too. But you can see the clusters of some severe thunderstorms moving through parts of northwest Texas and actually extending pretty far down to the Mexico border. Scattered showers from New Mexico through Colorado, over Utah, Wyoming, up into Montana, northeastern Washington State. The Storm Prediction Center. The Storm Prediction Center tonight, Joe, has a marginal risk. Let's just give this a quick refresh in case they added anything to it, which I don't think they did, and they didn't. We've got a marginal risk throughout just about the whole state of Florida, southern Georgia, and Alabama. Also, West Texas, they have a slight risk indicated where we're seeing severe weather right now, and a marginal risk up in central Montana. Just wanted to check to see if the earlier today there was only just a small area with tornado risk. And yeah, the West Texas stuff, the Northwest Texas thunderstorms have 2% probability of a tornado. Paul Roman, 100% probability that Paul Roman has hit Super Chat. Thank you. Paul, please untime out Frank S. Apologies to Frank S. Okay, I don't know how to do that.
Why would Frank? Is that Frank Scalera?
Did you put Frank Scalera in a timeout by accident? You guys got to be a little easy with the trigger fingers, folks. Let's see if I can undo it. Remove, hide user, add moderator. No, I can't do it. So Frank, if you're watching this, Frank, you should. Frank, sorry about that. You will return shortly. I can't untime out you. So let me just type in a message for him. You will
Well,
return.
can't the moderators do that? Or
Um, no, I don't know if that they can. Let's see. What did he? You hold on a second. Just a second. Just a second here. Oh yeah, he said Joey was. He said a really offensive thing. Would you like to know what he said?
yes, I'd like to. What did you say?
Hey guys, I hope everyone had a great weekend. What a beautiful sunset tonight. Oh my. Oh God, sometimes you click on the mouse in the wrong spot and you got a problem. So Frank, let us know when you come back and accept Paul's apology. Okay, let's look at what's going on in the land of severe weather here for tomorrow. Tomorrow we got a slight risk in West Texas and a marginal risk too with a 2% tornado risk. And same for Florida. Just about a repeat performance of today. Almost the same outline of the area of marginal risk. And they also tomorrow they've got the thunderstorm risk, general thunderstorm risk in south central and southwestern New York and northernmost Pennsylvania. So they're looking for the chance that there could be another pop-up or two there. And day 3, which is Wednesday into Thursday, now we'll have a cold front coming down from eastern Canada, and there's an area of general thunderstorms from northern New Hampshire and Vermont to southwest into western Pennsylvania. Uh, I don't know. That front doesn't look, all that appetizing when it comes to producing thunderstorms by the time it reaches the coast, I don't think.
Mention the possibility of maybe an afternoon or early evening shower, and that'll hold. That's
Yes.
you hear a rumble of thunder. Hey, I think I just heard a little thunder. Big deal.
Yes. uh, okay, WPC only has a tenth of an inch or less of precip for the next 7 days. So if you include Wednesday in this, for Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Long Island, Connecticut, Rhode Island, they even have a hole in Connecticut that's got no precip. Nothing. Almost if you take out Wednesday, however little that is, that doesn't leave you with very much for anything over the weekend.
No, I don't think. Well, that you're absolutely right. They would not think. They probably are not thinking very much, if anything at all, for the weekend. And that's something I wouldn't hang my hat on it just yet, but something to be quietly optimistic about if you have anything planned for the upcoming holiday weekend out of doors.
Big dry hole in the lower lakes in Ohio Valley, going all the way down to the Gulf Coast, down the Mississippi Valley to Louisiana, a few hundredths at most. Southern Plains northward up through the Western Plains and into the Northern Rockies, 3/4 of an inch to an inch and a half. And also we've got more precip, a half to 3/4 of an inch in much of central and southern Virginia, eastern half of North Carolina, then kind of loops down the coast and then along the Florida coast where you're looking at a few inches. How much of that is front end loaded, I'm not sure, but it just doesn't really look like. I would be more nervous, Joe, if they were showing a half to 3/4 of an inch, say from Virginia all the way back into West Virginia and Kentucky and Tennessee. and maybe the northern line of the half inch getting up to southern New Jersey or something, maybe I'd be a little more nervous. But it kind of looks like this was done off the overnight guidance. They didn't even look at the dayside guidance when they put this out. So and the dayside guidance pretty much supported what the overnight did, which was to back completely away from precip moving this far north. Uh, so this forecast is not. If they had the dayside guidance when they did this, I doubt that they would have made it. They would have changed very much.
Yeah. You're probably right about the fact that this is more based upon the 0Z run as opposed to the 12Z. I don't know why they don't update these things quicker, but I certainly, if I'd been using the 12Z or even sometimes even the 18Z, I wouldn't have had anywhere near as much that's being forecast over our neck of the woods over the next 7 days. But maybe tomorrow, when we show this graphic, we will indeed see much lighter or much lower amounts being portrayed for the upcoming holiday weekend.
So I did this. This is the GFS, and the European looked pretty much the same. With regards to talking about what's happening here in the east of the weekend, this is what it looks like in the upper air, and you've got this upper high, this east-west ridge that sits over the northern Great Lakes and extends, pretty much through the southernmost areas of the Northeast and goes offshore. You go northeast of there, you've got the northwest flow in central and northern New England. But the upper low is basically getting cradled by that upper high, and it's got no place to go. There's no northern feature coming down. That would be the one fear that you would have, is that if you had, if the ridge was not as strong as being indicated now, and you had something coming along in the northern stream that was going to pull this up. And it's also a big change from what we saw yesterday, because yesterday, Joe, they had the trough that was going to just sort of get to about 80, and then the upper low was going to drop from the St. Lawrence Valley down southwestward into Pennsylvania and West Virginia. It looks nothing like that now. It's just totally different. There's nothing in the northern stream that's called. This upper low forms from energy that's down in the south, rather than from something from the north that a lingering trough that shears off and starts to cut off. It's doing something completely different today, and that upper low can't get out of the way because there's nothing to kick it up. There's nothing to kick it out.
Yeah, and if you don't have a kicker, then that's it. As I notice on the chat board, I think Christiopedia wants your insight or our insights about Typhoon Mawa.
Yeah, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that after we get through this.
Is it Mawa or Mawa?
I don't know.
Mawa.
Yeah. Robert Russo hitting the super chat tip jar. Thank you, Robert. Most appreciated as always. We're still waiting for Frank Scalera to come out of his timeout. I mean, it's been longer. Usually I thought the timeout was only like 5 minutes. Frank, we love you. Don't disappear on us, okay? All right, so let's go to the upper air and take a look at what's happening overall. And by the way, we'll get back to the tropics in a second. So let's see. The 18. This is the Canadian. So we'll go to the GFS. Tropical Tidbits, for some reason, does not have the 18Z run, but I looked at it on Pivotal Weather, and it looks every bit as dry as the 12Z, if not even drier. So this is now at Wednesday afternoon. Okay, so we've got, this trough up here, and you see the southern part of this. There's a southern trough that's sort of hanging there. Okay, ridge that's building up from the Dakotas northward, and you've got some, energy that's down in the west, but nothing spectacular. And anyway, we're going to roll it along. Yeah, see, the upper low goes up into Maine. And this is where the models made yesterday. We're taking this upper low over the St. Lawrence Valley and then dropping it south-southwestward. Instead now, it says, no, it goes into New Brunswick and just sort of sits there and fades away. Meanwhile, the southern part of that forms a new upper low in western Tennessee, and now we're into Saturday. Now, there's no way we'll see rain on Saturday with an upper with a setup like this. And as you look up in Canada, for example, the flow here is completely separated from what's going on in this southern part of the jet stream. So there's nothing to come down to get involved and try to lift it out because there's this upper high that's sitting right in between the two. So assuming that the models are correct in this, and all three of them pretty much have the same idea, it'll just be a matter of is that upper high is going to stay strong enough, long enough to keep that moisture from doing anything. And today's runs say yes. It's not until after Tuesday finally you start to see the thing move, and it moves into the Carolinas and then moves out offshore, and we're back into a northwest flow anyhow. Actually, it's more of a northerly flow, so at least we won't have any smoke if that's the case.
Well, yeah, the flow might actually direct the smoke in a different direction from what we've been seeing of late. But you're right about the fact that with the upper low positioned where it is expected to be later in the week and in this weekend, there really doesn't seem to be much of a chance of seeing any kind of precipitation threat coming this far north. Still, 5-6 days out. Let's not put a guarantee on this. Things can change. I've said even that sometimes we're right up to the event 2-3 days before, and all of a sudden, boom, something happens or something appears that you were completely and totally not expecting. So I'm not going to. Again, I'll keep saying those two words: guarded optimism seems to be the case for the upcoming holiday weekend. It does not look, Joe, I think you'll agree, it does not look like it's going to be a glorious holiday weekend. In other words, we're not going to have a setup where we're going to have brilliant, dazzling sunshine Saturday, Sunday, Monday. There probably will be some cloud cover mixing in, but so long as I guess we try to keep the precipitation out, people at least will be happy. Beggars can't be choosers.
Right, and to an extent, at least through Friday, the flow is sort of onshore-ish. And even Saturday and Sunday, it's going to be, either light and variable winds or winds that are going to be, light east or east-northeast or something along those lines, which are going to, that'll keep it's not going to be a beach weekend. Let's put it that way. You're not going to, to go in the water. We might be nice enough to go, maybe it'll be nice enough for you to stroll on the beach, but, you're not going to have to worry about heat or humidity here. And I'm just working through the surface map. There's really nothing of consequence rain-wise, assuming that the weekend is dry. There's nothing until late next Thursday when something comes along in the northern stream to produce some showers. And who knows if a thunderstorm or two, but that's so far down the road. One of the interesting things I did notice, Joe, with the pattern, I'm trying to get these, there's still this Canadian flow with the northwest, is getting these highs coming down one after another, and that would certainly suggest that here we are, and the last day on this one is 384 hours. Is 12Z Wednesday, June 7th. Now, clearly, it's probably not going to look like this exactly, but if there is some kind of a northwest flow that just continues there, you're going to get highs coming and fronts coming through. So it can't really get hot, or if it does get very warm, maybe it gets very warm for an odd day here and there, and that's it.
No, for fast flows, progressive patterns usually do not lead to a protracted or prolonged period of hot or sticky or humid weather. When we have a stagnant air mass, when we have, let's say, a huge ridge of high pressure that suddenly settles in and in the upper atmosphere and just sits there for many, many days, that's the situation that begins to lead to, the heat, the haze, the humidity. But as long as we have a progressive pattern, we're not going to see any prolonged threat of any kind of, there may be some brief spells, maybe a day or two of heat and humidity. But again, moving along and things changing. That front that we're looking at for the middle of this week dropping down from Canada will certainly help to bring in a cooler airflow and will again preclude the threat of any kind of extreme heat or unusual heat here in our neck of the woods for a number of days to come.
Well, here's typhoon. I was just looking at it. It's Mawar. It could be Maywar.
Yeah,
Well, anyway, I got the satellite loop up. You should have it up on the screen momentarily.
this is
And
supposed to be the strongest typhoon to hit Guam in over 20 years.
well, and it's moving right now. It's moving north northwest, or almost due north from what I'm looking at here on the loop. But it's so far south. It's like 11 degrees. It's barely over 11 degrees north, and it's at about 147 degrees east. So I'm thinking that, and the eye is fairly well defined. I mean, it looks like the thing is still strengthening here on the enhanced satellite loop. Very, very impressive. Doesn't quite have that buzzsaw look yet, but it might get there. We'll see. 110 knots, gusting, not NA. Central pressure 951 millibars. And let's see what kind of forecast tracks they have. So the official forecast track.
It is categorized as a Category 4 typhoon, and I'm going to make the assumption that these categories are exactly the same as the Saffir-Simpson scale, with the exception that we're not talking about a hurricane, we're talking about a typhoon, but typhoon or hurricane is the same type of storm.
Tycoon. By the way, it is forecast over the next 5 days to slowly strengthen to a Cat 5, 100 by the 27th, which is 222, 2024, which is Saturday. It's forecast to be 130 knots, gusting to 160. And in terms of its position, let's see. CPA, what does that stand for besides Certified Public Accountant?
Yeah.
It says CPA to Hagatna, 6 miles. Anderson Air Force Base, 25 miles. So this is probably in around Guam. So Rota, 60 miles. WFO, the Weather Forecast Office in Guam, 17 nautical miles away. And it gives you the distances here to all these Saipan, 120 nautical miles from Saipan. I've never heard these islands before, so they don't make any sense. I have no idea where they are.
And Tom Contino was correct on the chat board, because yes, last year we noted this more than a few times, that the Pacific was very quiet, eerily quiet, as Tom points out, and now all of a sudden this year, right off the bat, at the start of their typhoon or tropical cyclone season, here we have this major system.
Yeah.
So it may have something to do with the fact that we have flipped from a La Nina to toward an El Nino pattern.
Oh yeah, all the cold water out there is not cold anymore. In fact, I'll pull up the sea surface temperature map in a minute, but you can see the forecast track from the Weather Service in from Guam. I don't even know what office handles this, to tell you the God's honest truth. And then moving northward now, forecast to turn more northwest, and then eventually to turn west northwest. Might be, this is down the road 5 days, so who knows where it goes from there. See where Taiwan is, and the other islands. Japan is not even, is too far north at this point. But yeah, it is going to be a formidable system for sure. Very imposing by the time it gets to do that Cat 5 strength.
I'm trying to figure out. You just asked that question. Would possibly the major weather center for a storm like this, would it be in Manila, or maybe it might be in Tokyo? I don't know.
I don't know. Just looking at the sea surface temperature maps, this is the anomalies, and you can see the complete flip from from when it was all blue out here is now all yellow and brown. In fact, where the typhoon is, it's we're talking about ocean water temperatures now that are 2 degrees Celsius or more above normal. And in the eastern Pacific, you see the large area now of 2 or more degrees above normal. And right along the coast of South America, we're talking in that red and dark red. That's 4 to 5 degrees Celsius above normal. So very warm. Obviously we flipped over to an El Nino, and it is beginning to build, and that is going to have an impact on the activity on the Atlantic side. It's going to minimize it to an extent.
And yeah. Well, things have flipped. Things have changed from 1 year ago, and we'll see how this all pans out, both for the Pacific, which again shows signaling that it's going to be a lot more active this year as compared to last year, and also for the Atlantic. We'll see how this El Nino affects adversely or otherwise the situation in the Atlantic basin.
Correct. Absolutely correct. I don't see Frank. Did Frank come back? Nope. Okay.
Well, we're back.
Yes. Today is, today's not my day. I got 2 Amazon gift cards, and I went to use them, and I had to put in the code. They said the code's invalid, and then whoa, just set off a chain reaction here. I don't know about you, but the one thing I can't stand is when you go on these, you go on a website and they ask you to, so that you're not a robot, you have to put in those letters. You've seen those little screens that come up, Joe, where they've got like a mixture of letters and numbers,
Yeah,
and they got lines drawing through them, and you struggle to try to figure out, is that a capital or is that a small letter? That, and the other thing I can't stand is when they give you the pictures and they tell you, okay, click on
find the traffic lights.
find the traffic lights or find the motorcycles or whatever, and you find yourself after you do the first. Sometimes after you do the first one, they give you a second one, and then they give you a third one, and it's like, stop already. I mean, I know it's for your own for the good of security, but still. So
It's even like the artificial intelligence isn't sure yet whether or not you are or are not a robot, which is why they keep giving you 3 or 4 different types of pictures and photographs to look for. Look for the traffic light. Look for the crosswalk. Look for the drawbridge.
Right. So the reason why El Nino years are you usually get subpar tropical cyclone development in the Atlantic is because of the fact that favors the upper air weather pattern that produces a lot of westerly shear on the Atlantic side. When you have a La Nina, you don't have that so much. One clue will be when we get into June and July, if we start looking at the Atlantic, when we get into these El Nino years, sometimes you get way, way up in the atmosphere, those gigantic 200 millibar lows where you see, a counterclockwise circulation way up at the top of the atmosphere that spans over 1,000 miles. If you start seeing things like that showing up on the Atlantic side, that's going to tell you that's going to be that tropical cyclone development could be on the subpar side.
Well, we'll see.
And when I say subpar, I mean in terms of getting to normal. The average now is 14. When you look at some El Nino years, when they used to say that the average number of tropical cyclones was 10 on the Atlantic side, and there have been years where there have been only 4 or 5 or 5 or 6. That hasn't happened in a long, long time. But now the normals are up. The normals at 14. 14 cyclones. So look, if it comes in, if it's 14, it comes in at 11 or 12, that's going to be considered below average. That's also because they used to forget to count some of them.
Well, I have Briller Jeopardy tonight.
You do?
Yes, I do.
All right. I haven't run out of prepositions.
Maybe tonight we can go without the
All
prepositions.
right, and so you don't have to live in fear. Go
On
ahead.
this Briller Jeopardy would continue the never-ending. Well, it will eventually end because there are only 26 letters in the alphabet, and we've been going at 2 per night. But can you name the five most common words that begin with the letter G and the letter H? We'll start with the letter G, the 5 most common words.
All right, hold on. G. So I will say go,
Okay.
going.
No.
No, but go is there. Okay. Gone.
Gone is not there.
How about good, as Jason Schaefer has?
Good is there. So we have.
And Carol
Oh,
DeCara has great.
I was going to say, if you're a Tony the Tiger fan, you probably can already identify one of those, and it is indeed great. Great.
Keith James II says God.
Believe it or not, God is not on the list.
Okay. Get by Christinapedia.
Get is there, yes.
And she also suggests give and grow.
And she is going to be right with the word give. And we've got all 5. Give, get, go, good, great.
Okay. Now, what's the other letter? H?
H.
All right. Hi as in H-I?
No.
No?
No.
Well, what about hello?
Hello's not there either.
Really? There are a bunch of rude people in this world if hi and hello are not being used, for God's sake. Hell?
Hell, you mean like down there?
As in go to?
No, it's not there either.
To use a word that was popular as
Wait a minute. Hold it. Hold it. What are you doing down here? You're not allowed down here. Did you sneak up here? Did mommy?
Oh, isn't that the most precious thing? Oh, he's gorgeous.
Mr. Sweeney. And now if my wife is watching this, she's going to say, what? What?
Oh, he's adorable, Joe.
So here he is.
Oh.
Mr. Sweeney, who has decided to sneak on downstairs.
Did he just try to give you kisses?
Say hello to. No, he hasn't. He doesn't give kisses.
Really?
I don't think he's ever learned how to give a kiss.
Oh.
Oh, here comes mommy.
Yeah.
Mommy is.
Trouble now.
How did he get down here?
I was putting away laundry and I didn't put the gate.
Putting away
back
laundry, and he
All right,
snuck on downstairs. Get up there. Where? What's his name? Mr. Sweeney. That's his name. He is a rescue dog, and we decided when we got him that was his name, and we said, "All right, well, then we're not going to change his name. Mr. Sweeney, it is."
I'd show you JJ, but he's completely passed out on the bed, and the bed's not made. So I am not going to show you because the bed's not made. So the H words here, folks. So we have happy.
Happy is not there either.
Patrick Darcy. Oh my God. Oh Lord. Are there 2-letter words or 3 in this mix?
We have one 2-letter word here.
All right, a few folks have put up ha, H-A.
We have one 2-letter word, one 4-letter word, and the others are 3-letter words.
Well, how about help and hope?
No.
Neither one. We haven't gotten one yet, have we?
No, you haven't.
All right, here we go. Matthew Howe. He, him, her, his, has, and have.
Okay, he and her is there.
Okay.
What else was there? Had Tyler Fenga?
He, him, her. Going to get us in trouble with the pronoun, folks. He, him, her, his, has, and have.
Had is there. Him is not there.
All right. So we got he. Which ones have we gotten so far?
I think he, her, and had.
And had, but not has.
No, has is not there.
And have is not there.
Av is there.
Oh,
Yes.
Av is there. So now we got 4 out of 5.
Right.
All right. Christinapedia offers the weather word hot.
Hot is not there. I will say that the last word is kind of a derivative of he.
Hmm.
In fact, it goes more with her. I mean, if I were playing password and I would say her, what would you say?
She.
No, the opposite of her.
Him.
But it's not him.
That's not him. He. Him. His.
His, yes.
So it's his.
His. And you
Okay.
got it.
And we got him.
Yes.
All right, that was too much torture. I will not bring up another preposition.
Hey, look. At least you got a chance to see the new addition to the family.
No, it's
So
a nice looking, really cute dog.
yes.
Cute dog. You don't know that when you get a rescue, you get the history of the dog, but you don't really always get the complete history. So
Believe it or not, we got and I don't have the list in front of me. There's an ancestry.com for dogs, and my daughter got the results a few days ago. He's mostly Yorkshire Terrier, but he's also there's a category in there called Super Mutt, where he's
right.
Where he's a very small percentage, a fraction of a percent of a poodle, fraction of a percent of a beagle.
Well, when I say history, though, I mean where he was living, what the previous.
Tennessee.
Yeah,
Tennessee.
And what did what kind of an environment was he in? Was he in the abusive
we don't
environment?
Know what the environment. Yeah. We get the impression from him, and I've been told that when you have a rescue dog, it's like unconditional love. They
know
this dog. If the two of us, if Bernard and I are in the room, he's fine. If one of us is in the room, he's fine. But if both of us are outside, like maybe if I'm raking and she's doing something in the garden or whatever like that, he'll go crazy because he's all by himself again, and he'll be barking and crying. I'm not just barking, but a cry type of bark. So
very well done.
So,
yeah, but I mean, you don't know what kind of home he came out of. Whether he was abused or not, because
right.
It's really some of the stories I've heard from people that I've met that have gotten rescue dogs, and you hear things, Joe, and I think, how could people do that? There was somebody I ran into at the dog park with the dog that they had. This dog lived under a bed for 2 years, was not allowed out of the room that they had the dog in, and lived under a bed, never been outside, never had seen another dog, and couldn't walk up a flight of stairs because it was kept, inside, literally kept in a room under box under a bed, and was rescued, and it took the better part of a year to get the dog, acclimated to the good life. But
Christopedia, though, is right. Separation anxiety. There's no question about that. And I mean, like today, for example, Renata went to do something, so she left. I went into a completely different room. He followed me. I sat down on a couch, and he just jumped on the couch, got into a position, and then just put his head on my my right leg or my right knee, just like. And the other thing is that I'm not going to call it a cage. We call it his house. The crate or whatever. And at night, because he's on steroids, because he has some autoimmune problem right now, and in order for him to get off of that, we've been giving him steroids, and he's much, much better than he was, let's say, a couple of weeks after we first got him. A couple of weeks, it's almost like he was verging on death. He wasn't moving at all. We were trying to figure out what was wrong with him. So we've been giving him these steroids, but we've been weaning him off the steroid. But Because of steroid, he goes like every 90 minutes to 2 hours, you know. So in order for him to prevent that from happening at night, we have taught him, comes to like 11 o'clock, 11:15. Renata, she did the same thing with our Yorkie. He said, "Okay, Mr. Sweeney, nighty-night sleepy time." And lo and behold, you say nighty-night sleepy time to him, and he'll get up and he'll walk. We don't have to put him in his cage or his box or his crate. He just goes right into the cage, turns around, flops down. We lock up the door, and that's where he is for the next 6 or 7 hours. We sleep, he sleeps. The only problem is that while he's still on the steroids, come 6:30 or
he's got to go.
6 o'clock, he's got to go.
Yeah, I get
and
it.
And then, I said, okay.
Yeah, because he does. Dogs don't like to pee in their crates. You know.
Right,
Well, it's good.
I mean,
It just takes time with the rescue. JJ, I got him. He had anxiety issues and separation anxiety, but you know that didn't last very long. When he was older. He was over 2 years old when I got him, but that didn't last long. He got used to being here, and I'll never forget it when after I got him. Within 2 weeks, I had to drive to New York, and he came with me. And when we got back here to the house, I've never seen a dog do this, but we got him out of the car. He ran to the door. When I opened the door, he ran inside, and for the next almost a good 5 minutes, Joe, might have been longer than that, just jumping around and tail. Well, he doesn't have his tail looks like a horse's tail, so he doesn't wag it. It bounces up and down. But I've never seen a dog so happy being in his own house, and that's what I knew that he was he was going to be fine. But then he's good. When I go out, I leave him alone and I just tell him I'll be back in a little while. And when I say that, he goes on the couch or he goes in the bedroom and he goes on the bed.
I do this. We do the same thing with our dog, Mr. Sweeney. I have to converse with him to convince him, and he's looking at me with those eyes. I said, "Daddy's going away for a while. Daddy's going to be back. I want you to watch the house. Are you going to watch the house for us?" And he wags his tail a little bit. I say, "Okay, I'll be back. I'll be back." And I just close the door.
And then when you come back, I always tell him, I said, "See, I told you I'd be back."
Exactly, precisely. So he's been, and somebody asked, Tyler asked how long he's been with us. He's been with us now for 2 months, a little over 2 months. He arrived here on March 15th, and I hope that he finally has realized that he's finally at a home, in a home now. So,
all right, let's go. Time to go. See, I had nothing else to add to tonight's show. So guess what? We will be back tomorrow night at the usual shopping time and the Joe and Joe Weather Show, which is, of course, brought to you by our affiliate Tempest by WeatherFlow. Get the revolutionary Tempest weather system and join the fastest growing observing network on the planet. The link is pinned, or should have been pinned, to the top of the chat board, but I guess it didn't pin when I put it. So I'm going to try to pin it again. So let's pin it again. I'm working on an angle here, so
I see it on the chat board. There it is.
There it goes. So anyway, it's up there. Use the coupon code Joe and Joe Weather Show, and you get 10% off your purchase of any of the weather items they have. It's also on the descriptor to this video. And, of course, as always, brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York, 631-756-1125. And for the best prices in town, the website is
OmniTrueValue.com. Good night till tomorrow at 7:35.
Oh, you want the Super Chat hits tonight?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. We had Super Chat hits tonight from Paul Roman and Robert Rousseau, and we thank them very, very much.
All right. See you tomorrow. Nighty-night.